Hello, friends. Welcome again to the Third Man Cricket Podcast. And this is Pavan here, along with Ravi, for the second consecutive day. And it will be a continuation of our episode that we did yesterday, wherein we covered four teams with respect to the upcoming IPL season. We covered Kolkata, Mumbai, Chennai, and Delhi. And today we are covering rest of the four teams, and we will be giving you an insight into the remaining teams and how they stack up as well and what their chances are. And at the end of the episode, both me and Ravi are going to make our predictions with respect to the four teams that we think might make the playoffs. How are you doing, Ravi, today?
All well, Pawan Bhaiya. Good to be back again. Of course, as I was mentioning yesterday, been long that we recorded two consecutive episodes in two two days again. So of course, quite happy and yeah, quite good.
That's nice to hear. So let's jump straight into it and let us start today with perennial underachievers of the IPL. I would say Rajasthan Royals, the winners in the inaugural edition of IPL in 2008, and haven't had much to show as far as silverware is concerned since then. They have historically been known as frugal spenders and getting high results on that, but that sort of thing has only remained on paper. They have often showed flashes of brilliance in the last few years, but have never got that final kick in to make the playoff on a consistent basis and emerge victorious. So the one thing that they've got is a brand new captain this season, which is Sanju Samson. It was an interesting pick
Mm,
because one of the criticisms of him has been his inconsistency in batting, and that has probably cost him his place in the Indian team as well. And if he has to put his hat back in the ring for that upcoming World T20, he should hope to have a stellar upcoming IPL season and also lead Rajasthan Royals from the front. I think one of the reasons they might have gone for a young Indian captain was uh, if it was a foreigner, they would have to keep playing him in the 11. Not to say that somebody like a Josh Butler or Ben Stokes would not fit the bill as a captain, but they decided to invest in a young captain, and responsibility can either make or break you. So it'll remain to see whether Sanju Samson relishes that extra responsibility or not. And coming to their overseas players, it's a English heavy side, as we know, and the
mhm.
likes of Josh Butler at the top of the order, and then Ben Stokes would definitely be the two people first in the list of the scheme of things. Uh, Jofra Archer, unfortunately, is injured, and we don't know if he's going to play any further part in the IPL and whether England would want to risk him prior to that Test series against India in the summer and the upcoming World T20 and Ashes. So I think, as far as I'm concerned, we might not see him in the IPL at all. So it leaves a very interesting choice with respect to the other two overseas slots. They have Liam Livingstone as well, who uh, showed good amount of composure in that one day series against India. But again, they would want to, have bowling options rather than batting options at their disposal, considering they would play both Butler and Stokes. Although Stokes gives that all-round option as well. Remains to be seen how much he bowls. Then they've got the big million guy, Chris Morris, the costliest buy in the auction. He's again exciting all-round option. Although he has been going for high prices, but never justified that price tag and has not been consistent. Uh, Struggles to find a place in the current South African setup. So it remains to be seen whether they veer towards him as far as that key all-rounder slot is concerned. So I think he might be my third pick as far as the overseas slot is concerned. And then the fourth slot, I think, would be a toss-up between Andrew Tai or Mustafizur Rahman, I would say. Got left-arm variety as far as Mustafizur is concerned. And Andrew Tai obviously is a very canny bowler with his change of pace. So these are the options that I see them going with as far as their overseas options are concerned. They have pretty solid backup in the form of Livingston, as I mentioned, as far as the batting is concerned, and David Miller as well. And I think the young Indian talent is again the one that is to look forward to with the likes of Yashasvi Jaiswal, Riyan Parag, he did not have a good season last year. He would be hoping to make amends for that. Um, and I am of the opinion that they should give somebody like a Mahipal Lomlor a longer run in the side. He's an exciting option with both bat and ball. We saw him play only few matches last year in the UAE, but I think he should get more chances. And obviously, the golden boy from last season, Rahul Tewatia, they'll be expecting more from him after what he did last year, and the expectations will only rise. They have picked Shivam Dubey in their squad as well, who was released by RCB. It remains to be seen whether they would want to go for that option as well. And as far as the Indian fast bowling is concerned, I think Karthik Tyagi and Chetan Sakaria, the two greenhorns, will be looking to uh, perform whenever they're given chances. I think both Jaydev Unadkat and Chetan Sakaria, who are both left-arm seamers, might be fighting for that one spot. And Jaydev Unadkat, for all his experience, he has also always gone for mega bucks in the IPL, but seldom reproduced those results on the field. Uh, so it remains to be seen how they handle their Indian fast bowling resources as well. And finally, when it comes to their spinners, they've got mystery spin in the form of KC Kariappa and Mayank Markande, whom they can utilize as well. So overall, I think the performance of the Indian domestic talent will decide their fate in the tournament, as far as I'm concerned. And it's a given that when you have the likes of Stokes and Butler in your top four, you're going to have that firepower always. But without the help of the other Indian players, especially the likes of Sanju Samson, Jaiswal, and all these guys, it's going to be difficult for them because I see their bowling being the weak link for them. Your thoughts on that, Robbie?
Well, yes, largely I kind of pretty much agree with the lot of stuff that you told, Baya. But see, again, like yesterday, how I was kind of mentioning, I really would like to understand the conditions as well, and to just get a understanding of how they're faced out with the venues. They play 5 in Mumbai, 7 and Delhi and Kolkata. I'm clubbing Delhi and Kolkata because of the slow or probably some amount of spin wickets, and play only 2 at Bangalore. Coming to their spin, not very heavy. Be it Shreyas Gopal or Rahul Tewatia, not very experienced. They don't necessarily have a frontline spinner, but of course have Karyappa as well, and also can get maybe some overs from Riyan Parag. So I think this is one area I think there will genuinely lack. Jofra Archer last time around was not just amazing with the ball, but also with the bat. I vividly remember his innings against Chennai and a few other couple of innings as well. Of course, was I think the most valuable player, and rightfully so. Now, even probably with Jofra, the Rajasthan still maybe would have finished below 4. But now without Jofra, I think bottom 4 is a certainty. Uh, of course, I don't want to kind of be very arrogant or probably complacent about their abilities. But having said that, Sanju Samson and his consistency is one big issue, and now he also has one leadership issue. I mean, leadership responsibilities as well. Having said that, Fizz has genuinely lost his fizz, and I don't think he'll necessarily be able to replicate the magic that he has done probably in 2016 when he was playing for Sunrisers. Uh, but still heavily reliant on their foreigners. Josh Butler, Ben Stokes, and Chris Morris are quite central to their probably artillery. And would be interesting to see what Shivam Dubey also would do, because he didn't necessarily have a very bad IPL last time around, but probably wasn't necessarily the three-dimensional player or what he was actually projected to be. But their Indian strength is still good. They'll always have a couple of solid players will suddenly come up the order and probably just be those genuine game changers like Riyan Parag was or Rahul Tewatia was and whatnot. Would be interesting, and I would love to see Karthik Tyagi playing all 14 games, and it's a possibility. Why not? So uh, that's my view of Rajasthan. I'm kind of expecting them to finish bottom four. Maybe with Jofra, they had a possible they had some amount of better chances perhaps, but still seem weak is what I personally feel.
All right. So that was with respect to Rajasthan Royals, and we move further up north to the team which re-christened itself from Kings 11 Punjab to Punjab Kings, and they'll be hoping that that name change also brings about a change in their fortunes because they were genuinely unlucky to miss out on the playoffs last season. They had uh, when they played their first 5 or 6 matches last year in the league state, they could have easily won most of them, and most of their games went down to the wire, and they played multiple super overs, which did not go uh, in their favor. And then suddenly they picked up steam and won the second lot of their league matches and almost made it to the playoffs. But the kind of players that they have in their squad, I am really hoping that they do justice to that, and will be hoping to make that playoffs because they are one team again which has never won the IPL. So when you come to their overseas players, you've got the universe boss Chris Gale. It remains to be seen how many matches does he play because they brought him into the scheme of things very late last season. And even though at this ripe age of close to 40, I think he has proved himself to be absolutely valuable. Does take his time in the beginning, but we know that he can cover up more than cover up as the innings progresses as well. And then a good pick was David Malan that they did. He is officially the number one batsman uh, in the ICC T20 rankings. So it remains to be seen whether they fit him in the scheme of things. And Nicholas Puran, I think he is one of their best power hitters who can, irrespective of the situation, just tee off and provide that vital impetus in the innings. So I think both Gale and Puran will be very critical to their progress and are likely to fill in at least two of those overseas spots for them. And then I see the likes of Chris Jordan and Riley Meredith fighting out for that overseas teamer spot for them. Riley Meredith has been very successful with the Hobart Hurricanes, I believe, in the VBL. So, and Chris Jordan is a very experienced T20 bowler, especially at the death. So he has delivered consistent results for England in this format, and I think he'll be the go-to guy for them uh, as far as overseas bowling slot is concerned. And the other person they can consider to provide them both options with the bat and ball is Moses Enriques. So it's been a bit of an underachiever in the IPL, and that had to do with some of lesser opportunities as well. But that's another exciting option that they have at their disposal. And sorry if I got about Jai so they have that option as well, where they see that conditions might soon suit swing bowling. He might be a bowler who might be brought into the picture to exploit those conditions as well. Uh, and when it comes to the Indian talent, I think they're well served by both KL Rahul and Mayank Agarwal at the top of the order. And I think with the kind of depth that they have in the middle order, KL Rahul will take that license and liberty and try to be ultra aggressive that we know he can be. And the last season he was pretty conservative in his approach, and that was due to lack of options in the middle order. So I think when they have beefed up their middle order with the Indian and foreign batting talent, we might see some of the best of KL Rahul in the upcoming season. Mayank Agarwal also will look to make amends because he has been out of the Indian Test side for lack of runs, so he'll be looking to have a good season this year as well, like he did last year. And of course, the likes of Mandeep Singh and Sarfraz Khan are also in the lineup. And one player I'll be looking forward to is Shah Rukh Khan, uh, who plays for Tamil Nadu in domestic cricket and had a very good Syed Mustaq Ali Trophy and is a uh, heavy hitter of the cricket ball. So he will be an interesting option in the middle order as well. I think it'll be a toss up between him and Sarfraz Khan as far as the middle order slot is concerned. Sarfraz Khan also, as we know, has that uncanny knack of producing little gem of the innings. So they have got that base covered as well, and they've got few other options as well in the form of Deepak Huda and Jarat Saxena as well, who offer something with both bat and ball. They have got those options in their arsenal as well. And they have their Indian bowling talent also well covered. The two wrist spinners, Murugan Ashwin and Ravi Bishnoi. Whenever they both played in tandem, they did very good job for them last season, and they'll be hoping for more of that. They're not heavy on finger spinners, and I think one key bowler whom they will like to spearhead their attack would be Mohammad Shami. Uh, and there were reports that he's looking at his fittest post that injury on the Australian tour, and is just waiting to go. So I think that should hold him and the future of the Indian team also in good stead. I would definitely like to see somebody like Ishan Porel get more matches. He was hardly used last season. He's a very talented bowler, plays for Bengal, has come up the ranks to the under 19 level, and a very talented bowler. I was absolutely, uh, flustered last season when they did not play him. Uh, and they went for Arshdeep Singh, who also produced nice amount of results, but he's a bowler who is very light on pace and uh, usually relies on his variations. Whereas Ishan Porel is a string bowler, but is right up there with his pace as well. So I would like to see him being also utilized in their what the likes of Prab Simran Singh also is a hard hitter of the ball. Hasn't been able to display his talent to the fullest potential because of lack of consistent opportunities. Um, all in all, I think they have got most of their bases covered, and I'll be very surprised if they don't make it to the playoffs this season. Uh, your thoughts on Punjab Kings, Ravi?
Oh, well, so I think after Mumbai Indians, probably Punjab Kings are the second best team in the league with the best Indian strength, with KL, Mayank, Shami. I mean, I think these guys are match winners any day. Uh, Point being, to be honest, I personally think probably in the last 14 seasons, first in the last 11 seasons or so, KL Rahul's orange cap was maybe in a way or two most, I'll say, undeserving, or if maybe that's a strong word to be used, but I personally felt uh, his games last season were quite, selfish is not the word, probably conservators, uh, more diplomatic to say, and not very harsh, probably. Uh, it's important for him to kind of speed up. Nicholas Puran is one such terrific player, and I think him in middle would be offering great balance as well. I think their mix of foreign players will still be a bit tricky. Where would they actually invest, or probably where would they actually would like to see them picked would be something that I'm genuinely looking forward. Uh, Mandeep is another player I think should be getting many more games, but I'm not very sure if he would be getting good game time. What also needs to be kept in mind, of course, I think you covered majority of what I wanted to convey with respect to Punjab, but also what needs to be kept in mind is the games that they're going to play at Bengaluru. One way of looking at it is Mayank and KL are very kind of they pretty much grew up on that very ground. But having said that, Bengaluru is one such ground which offers no advantage to any team, and uh, beat the short boundaries, beat the flat wickets, beat probably the lack of spin, or probably beat also the pacey wicket as well. 200 is always chaseable, and anything less than 180 is sometimes considered below par as well. When they play 5 games towards the fag end, it gets quite tricky, and hence I kind of feel that their games in Mumbai, Chennai, and Ahmedabad, that wherein they play about 9. It would be great if they win at least 5 of them or 6, so that maybe a couple of because they just can't rely on the Bangalore rubber, and it's a massive disadvantage. And I think our RCB, with their amazing, I'll say, NCA or infrastructure facilities available right around, or the age-old ground, or probably the amazing crowd that they have. Uh, Chinnaswamy is always a big disadvantage, is what I personally feel, mainly because of the various conditions it offers, and it necessarily doesn't, uh, you know, add up to any of the strengths, until and unless you can still score a 200, like I mentioned, and probably can still get still kind of chasing. So that's where I look at Punjab, and uh, I'm a huge fan of Nicholas Puran, and I'm pretty sure that he'd be doing well this season. Universal boss, of course, it's still tricky if he would be playing or no, and I think he may not be playing majority of the games, is what I personally feel. Maybe they'll look at options like Fabian Allen as well. So it would be interesting. With Ravi Bishnoi and Murugan, I really like their spin attack as well. And Deepak Huda is pretty good as well. So interesting team, and I think that's pretty much on Punjab Kings. And of course, I think the most critical point will be about how they'll negotiate the five huge games that they're going to play at Bengaluru.
Yeah, absolutely agreed on that, Ravi.
So I think next, I think we'll go with RCB, of course, coming down south. Uh, I mean, to be honest, I think they've gotten even more balanced from the last season around. What's very exciting are a couple of buys. I mean, Mohammad Azharuddin, who scored that smoking, innings full of smoking sixes and whatnot at Wankhede, but necessarily didn't do amazingly well in Syed Mushtaq, but was indeed a great innings and was bought by Virat. Rajat Patidar is someone who's actually on the radar for long, and there have been quite good number of I'll say analysts and everyone speaking high of him. Uh, with respect to the regular playing 11, I think it's pretty much the same that we're going to see last time around, with probably Jameson getting in, being slotted in, and Glenn Maxwell with all the money that he's received is a certain. Uh, I think Glenn Maxwell would be able to contribute with also the spin that he's going to give. They play almost 8 games in Kolkata and Chennai. You know, in the start and towards the end. They play about 5 games in Kolkata, so it would be really interesting to see, uh, that aspect of things as well. So Devdutt Padikkal is again one more exciting talent that I'm again looking forward to, and I genuinely hope he'll score even more runs. And for some reason, I feel he's going to replace Shikhar Dhawan very soon, and probably, if not replace, at least he's the future. He's had an amazing Vijay Hazare Trophy as well. So Devdutt Padikkal is one guy that I'm looking forward to. Maybe the last of the seasons that we're going to see of ABD Villiers. So important to enjoy while it lasts. Uh, Not a huge fan of Dan Christian, and this goes back to probably Deccan Chargers days. But having said that, he's had an amazing Big Bash League even at this age. So would be interesting to see what he's going to offer. But having said that, I'm not very sure if he would be slotted in with options like Kane Richardson or Kylie Jamieson. And I think their bowling attack is really good with uh, Shami, Yuzvendra Chahal, Washington Sundar, and Navdeep Saini. All 4 Indians, I think they can manage solid 16 overs and necessarily not go for plenty, considering they're not playing much in Bengaluru. But having said that, they've done pretty decent in the last season as well, wherein they were a certain table toppers, in once the first half ended. But having said that, the form miserably dipped. But towards the end, probably they were thankful that they just made it to the playoffs and were knocked out by Sunrisers. Was a sweet victory. So yeah, that's where I see, and I think before the mega auction next season, I think it's RCB's best chance. We say this every year, but I personally think, uh, of course, after all the Virat Kohli, magnum opus, or the kind of elevations that he gets, or the status that he has, it's just time that he, uh, you know, probably leads them to a victory. And I think this season, I'm definitely expecting them to finish top 4. While as an Hyderabad fan, probably I may not want it to happen. But having said that, I think they're very balanced this season, and would be quite interesting to see. What they're going to uh, do as well on when it comes to the game. So that's where I see RCB, and I think they're going to finish top 4. So what's your view, Baya?
Yeah, like you mentioned, last season also Virat Kohli mentioned that it's been the most balanced that he has seen RCB. As we always know that the perennial problem has been with the bowling that they have, and especially their death bowling. You can have as much batting firepower as you want, but at the end of the day, bowlers are going to win you tournaments. Batsmen might win you some matches, but bowlers are going to win you tournaments. They do have the balance side, at least on paper, but it remains to be seen how far they go on the scheme of things. And personally, I don't see them making the last four. They started off very well last season, but just tapered off and they made it to the playoffs by the skin of their teeth. And a lot will hinge on Captain Kohli, Devdutt Padikkal, and AB de Villiers, as you mentioned. And it remains to be seen how effective Maxwell is. Are we going to see him finally arrive in the IPL? Is again going to be $1 million question linked to his price tag. They definitely have a good spin bowling attack. And them playing in Chennai and all these places would hold somebody like a Yuzvendra Chahal and Washington Sundar in good stead. Um and Yeah, it remains to be seen what their foreign talent brings onto the table, likes of Adam Zampa, Kyle Jamieson, Kane Richardson. I think their Achilles heel has always been the fast bowlers as far as the Indian fast bowling talent is concerned. So, how much of stability are Mohammad Siraj and Navdeep Saini going to bring in is also going to be another question for them. A lot of question marks as far as I'm concerned. Uh, you know, the two Daniels, Christian and Sams, you know, utility players. I don't see them being huge game changers. Again, it's going to boil down whether Messrs. Kohli and De Villiers are going to be consistent, and then it is going to hope that the bowlers get down from the right side of the bat and produce the result for them. So yeah, all in all, I think it's an okay side. It might challenge the top guns on their given day, but don't see them being consistent and going that far. And I think their best time to get revamped will be when the mega auction is going to happen next year.
But I don't think they'll be changing the captain. So I think the Isala Kapnam Day rant, not necessarily war cry or slogan in any way, but I think it would just go on and on and on and forever. So Finn Allen had a very good, healthy series recently. Of course, it was against Bangladesh at his own home. Uh, won't jump, but having said that, promising. Good to look forward to. So I think that's pretty much on RCB. And yeah, next up, very on Sunrisers. Well, Sunrisers, I think to start with, right, what's very critical is how the spin department operates this time around. To be honest, that was one area where we lacked miserably the last time around, with the second spinner doing miserably bad, wherein we tried Samad, Abhishek Sharma, and tried Nadeem for a couple of games and whatnot. But this time around, our first 5 games are in Chennai, next 4 are in New Delhi, next 3 are in Kolkata. So 12 out of 14 games are necessarily on slow and proper turning wickets, we can say. Uh, Kolkata has been a bit more pacey, but it's still the originally a spin wicket wherein it favors spinners largely. So 12 out of 14 games we play on these wickets, with last 2 being in Bengaluru. So I'll pretty much make the very same statement saying these 12 games, I think we should at least win about 7 out of 5, so that 7 out of 12, so that because the Bengaluru Robbers, we can never necessarily predict, and that's how I see it. Uh, I think the batting pretty much, we can talk about the foreign combinations first, so that because I think basis the foreign combinations, that's where the batting fits in as well. Considering we're playing 12 games on these spin heavy wickets, I'm expecting Rashid and probably Nabi also to play, uh, because yeah, point being our seam attack also is so good that you just can't drop either of Bhuvi, Sandeep or Nattu. And you can play the remaining 8 overs. You can bowl with Rashid and maybe Nadeem, and maybe sit out Nabi. And we also have Mujib as a backup if there's some amount of injury or probably something unforeseen. So it's a tricky scene, okay? Because today we saw Vijay Shankar smashing 91 or 45. Is an option that we can definitely use. Jason Holder is quarantining till Sunday, I heard, so I don't think he'll be getting to play the first game. But anyway, I personally don't see him in the frame of things, considering we have a fully fit Bhuvi, and also it's important for us to kind of pump up our spin artillery. So nothing much to talk. Suchet Jagdisha also offers that very same spin second Indian option that we are talking about. So I'm expecting us to play five frontline bowlers with one all-rounder, which is probably someone like Vijay Shankar who can slot in those 2 overs of slow off cutters or something. With maybe Rashid, Nabi, or even Nadeem getting some amount of game. So it's going to be very, very specific. Maybe play. So Jason Roy, would we actually pick Bairstow good to start to go ahead with, or is David Warner and Kane Williamson, if there are certain, and Rashid is certain, who's the fourth option? And it's kind of very hazy to me as of now. But I think we should start with Rashid, David Warner, Kane Williamson, and Johnny Bairstow as our four uh, foreigners. And if Nadeem necessarily doesn't perform as expected, and it's spin wickets wherein he can do well. So that's when I don't think we necessarily need to hurry and probably get in someone like an Mohammad Nabi, like we played him against uh, KKR last time around. So important to stick to basics. I'd still say rely on your batting and then play Rashid and rely on the amazing three seamers of Bhuvi, Sandeep, and Nattu. That's how I see things. Kedar Jadhav is a good buy. He can spin as well. So lots of balance, and I'm very positive that we are going to make it to the playoffs this time. What's up? What do you feel?
Yeah, I think we have always been the team under the radar that produces the results, and the what we call striking part of the sad part is that no one takes Sunrisers Hyderabad seriously. And you see, for the record, we have consistently made the playoffs right from 2016 onwards until last year, having won in 2016. We always have made the playoffs, not gone to win on the trophy, but keep consistently making the playoffs. It's only that at the end of the league stage that people realize there is a team called Sunrisers Hyderabad in the mix. And but that does not, matter as long as we are producing the results on the field. We have a strong core group, and that is always held us in good stead. So I believe Captain Warner is again going to be very key as far as batting is concerned. So David Warner, I see David Warner starting with Riddhiman Sahai at the top of the order. That combination was very successful.
Mm-hmm.
I think that we might not go ahead and start with somebody like a Jason Roy or Johnny Bairstow for that matter, and play Kane Williamson in the middle order as a second overseas batsman, and the two other overseas slots, I see them being filled by Rashid Khan, obviously. And if Jason Holder is not available, then they might veer towards somebody like a Mohammad Nabi as well, is what I was thinking. Uh, or a Mujibur Rahman as well, if you want some mystery spin to come to the picture. Our bowling has been our, core on which we have based our success on. The likes of Bhuvneshwar Kumar and Natarajan will hold the fort as far as Indian seam bowling option is concerned. Sandeep Sharma has been a very consistent performer, a very unsung hero of the Sunrisers Hyderabad. He's a similar bowler with respect to Bhuvneshwar Kumar, less on pace, relies more on swing, but has got the job done as well. Um, and our Achilles heel has always been our middle order, the Indian middle order. So a lot will hinge on how Manish Pandey, Priyam Garg, Abdul Samad come up. And the reason for taking Kedar Yadav was to shore up that Indian batting in the middle order as well. The likes of young Abhishek Sharma, he impressed in whatever opportunities he got last year. So I think I'm looking forward to his contributions as well. And we have got good backup options as far as Indian seamers are also concerned in the form of Basil Thampi, Khalil Ahmed, uh, Siddharth Kaul as well. So I think we have got most of the bases covered as well in there. And the strength of SRH, like Mumbai or Delhi, has been we have maintained the core over a period of time. and I see them making the playoffs as well. And it will only be their own undoing if they don't perform well as a unit that they might not cross the line.
Fair enough. I
So
think so. I think we can probably quickly go with our predictions. So how do we do this? I mean, do you want to go with positions or probably just mention 4 teams that are going to go for playoffs?
I think positions would be respective. Let's just guess the 4 teams. Uh, from my end, I see Mumbai, Delhi, Hyderabad, and Punjab making it to the playoffs. That's my guess for the 4 playoff spots. What about you?
Oh, oh well. So to be honest, I pretty much had the very same. I'd say very same 4 teams. Uh, okay, let me kind of contradict myself. Maybe it's either Punjab or Chennai is what I feel. So
Mm-hmm.
uh, yeah, or maybe when RCB coming into the picture. So it's so it matters. I mean, Delhi again. I mean, I'm a bit confused again on Delhi things, but what I'm very certain is SRH and MI definitely going in with other 2 slots being fought over. But I'll just say SRH, MI, maybe RCB, and then of course something like a Delhi Capitals. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that pretty much wraps up our episode for today. Uh, uh, of course, like every other preview, I think it's tough to go ahead and say who does what where. But having said that, I think conditions play a critical role, and uh, you know, considering it's a mega auction next time around, it's going to be big this time as well. And this time around, we need to pray for a very safe IPL, considering there's a lot of travel. I mean, between the 4 cities that that teams are playing, and let's hope everything is quite smooth and we're in for a solid 2 months of cricket. Till then, take care, and of course, you know the drill. Any final words? Any final thoughts, Pawan?
No, I think it pretty much sums it up. We've done the preview, and the the tamasha, as they say, starts in a couple of days' time. And let's hope to see quality cricket, as I say, and let the best team win.
Oh yes. Thanks, guys. Thanks a lot, and yeah, keep listening, and thanks for your support so far. Bye bye.
Thank you.